Good morning, Baba, on behalf of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for having us here to share some of your valuable knowledge on percussion. By nature, you are an organic percussionist. So can you first tell us the meaning behind your beautiful name?
Well, Baba Ayinde Onilu is of Yoruba origin. Baba meaning father, Ayinde meaning we gave praises and he came, and our title given to us by our father is Onilu meaning drummer. So father we gave praises and he came, drummer of Yoruba origin.
That's very, very interesting. I think a lot of Trinidadians are very familiar with your dad and how much he has contributed to the art of percussion and culture in our country. So we're very, very grateful for that. As we move along with the interview and we dive into all of the nuances around organic percussion, would you grace us with a little of your creativity?
Organic percussion is nature music in a nutshell, right? It's a concept derived by my father, the late Jaja Oga Onilu, where the concept is nature is the first musicians, right? And most of the instruments that we have that exist conventionally today, they start from an organic form at some point in time from wherever ancient time and space, wherever it come from in that time. And now it come from that organic state and is about giving homage to nature, as nature is our sustainer. Without nature, there is no us, and we are also a part of nature. We as human beings, we vibrate, and we all kind of connect to some form of natural something. Who like to go by the river, who like the forest, who like this flower, who like this plant, who like this animal, right? We all have some form of connection to that natural aspect. But music, being a international or universal connection that we all have, no matter race, creed, color, age, and all. Music is a connection that we all have. So we use organic music to connect and bring that consciousness and even if you want to call it patriotism, especially here in Trinidad and Tobago, to the respect of nature. So like for instance, this instrument here is called a boli drum. One of our traditional raw materials that we have here in Trinidad is of the gourd. We might know it as the calabash. And all over the world, they might know it as a gourd. But here in Trinidad, we have a difference between gourds and calabash. Although it's the same family, our calabash here in Trinidad grew on trees. And a lot of the gourds that grow in different parts of the world grow on vines, different species. So our calabash here, if you taste it, it's sweet. And the gourd's bitter. Right? So it's like a brother and a sister. Right? That combination. And again, that's another aspect of nature again. Because in nature, everything is either male, female, or male and female together to bring back whatever is the next form of life, of biological, in that cycle that we all exist in. So this one was a creation of my dad. It's called a boli drum again. It's a cleaned out gourd with all the guts cleaned out and the name drum. So you place your hand like this and you're looking for the sound of. So you play it musically. A boli drum. And that is just one of the different types of instruments that our father created. And it's about that, it's connecting to destiny and self. How does one come up with these kind of ideas, right? It's basically connecting with one's destiny and purpose.
Your dad was very instrumental in the way you perceive music and rhythm in terms of it connecting with your being and looking at the elements of our composition or the human in existence. The elements that are present within us is not something that is external, but is also internal. Whatever we consider to be supreme or celestial as an external component is very much present within us, and it's also in everything around us. So that belief is something he would have nurtured within you and your brother. Can you explain how growing up with him was in terms of the values and lessons he would have instilled, and how did that inspire you to continue on that same journey of being an organic percussionist?
Well, I think a lot has to do from a genetic perspective. You know, they say a lot of things handed down from your parents, right? And then growing up is being immersed in it because he made sure that me and my brother was around the environment of the things that he did and all of that. So we in turn ultimately harnessed that kind of value to it. We understood the value of it because there are a lot of stories of people we know, friends, other family members who parents may be doing certain things and they don't really carry on for whatever reason, the things that the parents do. Probably they didn't instill the values properly to make them see the value in it and to know that this is something that we could carry on. It's like something that we could harness for generations, it's a legacy and all of that. But we saw the value in it, and it's like, again, it's like was part of us. So it wasn't too hard. He wasn't, you know, some parents might have to force it. Boy, come and do this and come and sell in the shop and come and go down in the market with me and come, whatever it is. But he didn't have to work too hard in getting us to follow in the steps that he made. You know, it was an easy choice because it's beneficial to us even now, and we know it will be beneficial to our children as well.
For all of these instruments to have manifested or just to be present with it today shows an evolution of a generation that is rooted in tradition and culture and values that would strengthen you as a creative. What would you say for young people who may not have that support and who would have that inclination to want to learn percussion or just following this sort of lifestyle, connecting to music, connecting to rhythm, just being an artist, would you say it's important for that support system to be there for them? And if they do not have that, how do you think they can nurture their artistic side?
Anything that we're doing in this time, based on your time you're spending to do anything, it's about being, your time must be profitable. So what we do is we try to show that it's profitable. It could be profitable financially. That's our main focus in life right now. Everybody needs to eat and pay your bills.
Correct.
And it's also environmentally profitable as well. Organic music also coincides with our organic lifestyle, which is like eating properly, doing a little yoga, taking care of yourself, exercising, and in general, that is the lifestyle that the whole entire world going down. So if the people or the young individuals who have these things naturally, because a lot of people have things naturally, or are interest, or some kind of natural inclination to learn how to do these things, they could think about that. It's not about now. This is something that is an investment in itself, in the time, to learn about these things, because in the near future, it could be big.
Yes.
And the more you put thought into it, who knows, you could end up coming up with some kind of grand idea. It could make you a millionaire. That could help your whole community, your whole ecosystem around you, So, and it's fun, because we have a program that we call Make and Play, which deals with especially younger children, kind of introducing them to understanding that nature is part of them, and being able to go into the environment and get them raw materials and make an instrument and then learn how to play it. And so the whole process in itself is something a lot of youths not accustomed to, especially in these times. So it's a little easier again to reach to them. Because when they hear certain tones and certain things, especially when they're young, if big people, when they hear certain things, it's like, you can imagine little children, right? So now you have an opportunity to be influential to younger children, right? We also use that as a medium again to show children, well, sometimes we all have a way. We are all human beings. But in life, just because of the natural way things were created, if we watch that process, we're part of that process. And how things just flow, we have to understand how to flow. And we have emotions and we have energies. So it's a kind of a real nice medium to talk to children.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
By opening the mind to something new. It come like you had a fresh door open. So with the fresh door open now, you get to put in good stuff into the room while that door open, right? You use it as a key. So use that little space there. And so it's something like they will never forget that. You will never forget the time you went by the man who does make all the bamboo thing and carry you by the river, and he tell you about the nature and how nature is this.
Yeah.
You're not going to forget that. So you have a lot of children, even children who grew up now, because I'm getting kind of old now, I ain't all that old, but children who I know was small and 5 years ago, they never forget me. They will say, remember when that thing? I say, oh yeah, and I can't remember, but then remember, to shows that it's working.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the importance.
It's impactful,
it's impactful
to their life. Can you take us through your creative process in choreographing or composing sequences of rhythm, as I would call it in my genre?
Right. And again, going back to Jaja Oga Onilu, or my father, he had another concept of the rhythmic scale.
Mm-hmm.
So the rhythmic scale now would begin with the dubshan, which is the rhythm of the breath. We have the Shouter Baptists that use that art form, which is technically playing the drum on your mouth, right? So now, from a historical perspective, we experience here in Trinidad, through the transatlantic slave trade, the banning of the drum. So it was a time the slaves couldn't play no drum and all of that. So that also was a manifestation of creativity, taking the drum and the rhythm of the drum and putting it on the breath. And you're singing the dubshan, right? So now they take that rhythm now and then it manifests and they play it on tambu bamboo. right? And then now we in Trinidad here, we live in an oil country, so we have biscuit tin and steel drum. So that manifests now into what we have our national instrument in Trinidad
Steel
and Tobago,
pan.
steel pan. So based on that whole journey that the drum went through, now you have the national instrument that manifests here in Trinidad, as they say, one of the last instruments in the 21st century or something, so it's like chronologically. But then there are also instruments that my dad made that don't have nowhere in the world again. But in Trinidad, which makes us even more special. The amount of great people treading in Trinidad here that do all kind of great things historically. Like we check
Yeah.
Trinidad history, all kind of people come out of Trinidad here. So for some reason, Trinidad is like this magnificent place. We have all these riches of all different cultures,
Yeah.
all different races, all different ideologies, all different, right? And we all exist in this space. So it's the perfect place to try to keep as the gem as it is. It kind of hard based on the current situations going on in the land, but with these kind of things kind of being, if we want to use the word, indoctrinated into especially the younger generation, right? All the art forms, all these different things. It's about opening the doors, as I say, with these things, and then putting, when the door open, putting in, using that space to put in positive things so that the things that are going on now will influence them because that space done full up
Yeah.
with positive things and good thoughts and good morals and loving nature and respecting their friends and loving life. Because the type of generation now, they like the respect for life. It's not there. It's not being embedded. Right? So simply that is why it would be easy for someone to take another life because they didn't respect your lives. So if you embed certain things, some smaller gain, I think we might have a solution.
When you interact with other musicians or artists of different genres, how do you approach collaborating with them?
Well, as we was talking about the rhythmic scale before, that is the kind of doorway into knowing how to play to any other genre, any other time signature, any other vibe, feel, pulse, or beat. So the rhythmic or the adoption carries you into a rhythmic scale of understanding all the different beats, patterns, the counter patterns, a musical scale and the musical key. And if you're playing in G, you're playing in F sharp, you're playing in C sharp, you're playing in whatever. Same thing rhythmically. So you could use these different types of rhythms and in the influence of any kind of genre. Like when we collaborated and we did the East Indian classical kind of style
Yeah.
of dancing along with these kind of instruments, that it mesh because it's natural.
Yeah.
So it's tones and it's just knowing how to blend these tones. And I think it's a natural vibe too. If you're immersed in that, and nature again is a very
Yeah.
important part.
Absolutely.
Nature is a flow. So if you understand the flow of nature, music, and if you check it out, plenty music has been influenced by nature, especially like
Yes.
birds, like melodies and things. It have these real plenty high musicians that we
Yeah.
have, especially in jazz and things. They're influenced by nature.
In terms of things that limit your ability to perform or may stunt your motivation, does that ever happen in your process or your journey of being an artist?
Well, as we said earlier, everybody had to eat, right? And there would be financial challenges in anything that you're doing in life. But as we do things from a natural perspective, we don't have much barriers because it's not like you have a key. We just call it the key of nature, right? It's not like you have a time signature. It's not like you have to use amplification, right? We don't need to depend on anything. We could just play. Sometimes if we don't even have instruments, we could go and get to stick and go on in a bamboo patch and play that and make music, you know? So the inspiration may be, or lack of inspiration thereof may come from the fact that a lot of people may not grasp the concept or respect the concept. Some people is like, eh. Or like the people who might say a tree is just a tree. But what about the people who just say, no, that comes like lungs?
Yeah.
There are people who look at it as lungs. So if we could get people, the more people we get, children again, because as our main focus, that's the best route to get. We understand the younger generation to understand that that's not just a tree, that is your lungs. that it will have a greater impact again. Because older folks, yeah, you might get some older folks to conform. But what about the ignorant or the just don't care, or the branches that done bend and turn so that can't get back straight?
Mm-hmm.
And it had that too.
Yeah.
So it's just bringing back that understanding that, yeah, it's a consciousness.
And I think that makes the change in society by allowing these art forms to be present in systems where children can have access to it.
Yes.
Because it changes their entire mindset.
Again,
and then
something to
they contribute in a more positive way to society, to culture, to art. Because art isn't just, entertainment and something to be just a filler in an event, it's something that goes beyond. But I think that understanding first has to set into the culture and the understanding of the people who have to appreciate it and have to be the audience.
Yes.
In terms of your limitations, which you explained financially, how do you keep yourself motivated and continue being the artist that you are today?
Well, again, I think it's more purpose driven. Knowing that if I wasn't doing it, or me and my brother wasn't doing it, who else would be doing it?
Yeah.
And it's something like it needs to be done. So even though sometimes, just sometimes, that the constraints, because what we may want to do is elaborate things. We want to build a big place and have the equipment to create all the instruments and all that. That is just the limitations, but everything is step by step, right? But everyday living is about understanding how society works and knowing that there are different ways to survive. Because besides music, we also do arts, we do craft, right? I do some tutoring, right? We teach classes on percussion. My brother teach percussion classes. We have different entities that we're involved in. My brother has a successful rhythm section that he does the tours and things that also brings income towards the organization, right? And is understanding society again, different streams of income. But we have a goal to expand on our father's legacy. So anything that we do beyond what we do is always to kind of like strengthen our foundation to make sure that we have what we have here going properly and make sure that future generations could understand it. There's something strong enough to know that, this makes sense because it's about the environment. The environment makes sense. We need the environment. So we need to capitalize on all of that as a society, as a nation, and know that we need a space that we can capitalize on that.
Absolutely. It's fantastic that you all are actually doing things towards the promotion of the art form and the longevity of it, as well as the outreach, because I think that's the most important contribution an artist can make for generations after them, In closing, would you be generous enough to
Sure.
give us some of your
Well, we spoke about the adoption beat.
Yeah.
So the adoption beat, again, is the rhythm of the breath. And the concept of the breath is the first drum. So when we connect and we play and we go into the rhythmic scale, as we say, you could say that the adoption is like the ground nation beat. That's the we in Trinidad here, from a traditional perspective or a folktical perspective, I would like to say, a lot of our rhythms stem from the Orisha Pali in Trinidad, where the three drums come together to make one rhythm to invocate. That's when you're calling on elders or spirits or however you want to call it, right, for invocation. So a lot of the music was transposed from there into what we have today as calypso, and then into soca. So plenty of our rhythms come from there and go down and travel and transpose, and we start up extempo, and then we try to do the calypso, and then we have soca, and it's a whole evolution.
Yeah.
But a lot of it come from the rhythm of the drum. And in most cultures, the drum is your pulse, is your beat, is your timing. And even in
heartbeat.
some cases, the drum beat, the genre of the rhythm is determined by the drum beat in some cases. So the adoption now, in understanding the scale and the connection to the calypso rhythm and to the Orisha style of hand playing and the connection of the three drums, the kata, the bass, and the bow, which is holding the bottoms, as you just say, the basic. And then you go have the kata, and then you go have the man who's singing and then go hitting. So the adoption. Now I play like about 3 or 4 or 5 different patterns, but it come like it's one pattern because everybody could play inside of everybody. So it's like an example of what a rhythmic scale would be. So from the Orisha hand, you could play calypso rhythm, you could play adoption rhythm. So that's 3 different. So calypso will be. Right, and then our Orisha hand might be.
So this is like the sacred trinity. And everything evolves out of
And
these.
it comes like it evolves
Yeah.
and it goes into different rhythms because you could also do that with different time signature rhythms as well. That connect into different folktical rhythms because we have a lot of folk rhythms in Trinidad here.
Yeah.
And then it have a lot of folk rhythms going up the islands. St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Jamaica, Grenada, even Guyana have different hands of rhythms, but all most come from Africa and everybody just have a different translation. Just like how we here in Trinidad just talk one way, Grenadians just talk a different way, Jamaicans have a different accent, the St. Vincents have a different accent, right? So that whole Ebonics also translate from through the rhythm. Sometimes we play the same rhythm, but we might call it something different. Yeah? So the rhythmic scale based on that adoption rhythm, starting from the rhythm of the breath and the heartbeat and the pulse of life, and understanding that rhythm is what we all live in a rhythm. We breathe, we talk, we walk, we move, and it's rhythm.
Doesn't get better than that.